Welcome back to the grim darkness of the 41st millennium. I'm Inquisitor Temperance Price, keeper of the Inquisition's Black Library, and this is the third volume in a report on the Valentyne Heresy, an actual play podcast set in the Genesis adaptation of Warhammer 40,000's Dark Heresy RPG. This report features Game Master Tom McGee and players Ryan LaPlante as Inquisitor Lucius Valentyne, Tyler Hewitt as Attikus Viz, Laura Hamstra as Eli Sharp, and Della Borovic as Morgan Rhalls. My report shows that the Inquisitorial band left the Iron Kestrel behind. Eli applied his naval knowledge to the investigation. Attikus presented his first theory about evidence, ever, and Valentyne ordered Dr. Thaddeus Thunderhorn to report any abuses he suffers at the hands of the crew. What will happen now they've found an abandoned capital ship in the middle of an asteroid field? Find out next in this episode of the Valentyne Heresy.
From the rarely read Naming Ships and How to Name Them log. It would just seem to me that naming any kind of vessel where such things occur, mercy for the pure, is a bit, well, perhaps ironic, perhaps sad. But then again, if there's one thing we've learned in our long history as a species walking these stars, is that the Emperor has a tremendously good sense of irony. Before you is a massive, dark shape, blotting out the meteors behind it as you float in the Marnie's song in front of a massive hulking ship. Grimly has pulled you up in front of it. You're obviously at distance. And from where you're sitting, the lights are not on. This thing is very much just dead in space. And, you know, unlike well-lit movies, of which there are increasingly few, that literally just means it's like someone just erased things in front of you in space. It is large and ominous, and just generally kind of bad. Out of paranoia, both of space pirates and fear of Attikus Viz, Grimly has turned you down to just running lights only. So you know you're in very much like what I would dub Star Trek helmet blue, where you know everything is dim aside from like David Fincher movie or Star Trek helmet, like low blue light.
Lights shining directly into your face.
Yeah, so that you can be seen, but also can't see exactly what you want when you're in space on your own. Yeah. Or flying a ship, Battlestar. So yes, you're looking at this. All of you have gathered on the bridge. Morgan has joined you, of course, because basically as soon as I think the lights went out, that was probably your cue, Morgan, to like maybe just abandon the espionage for a bit and come see what the fuck is up. So that is what the fuck is up. That is what you are looking at. And Grimly just kind of turns to you, Valentyne, and says, well, sir, as I said, this is where that distress signals originate, and though can't say that I see many reasons for power. Of course, it doesn't take much to run a beacon, so there's that.
Yes, but it does take a great deal of power to run a ship of that size, and one can't exactly flip a switch and have it activate, which is reassuring. Do you have any kind of passive sensor, something that won't, ping them or someone if they were trying to observe, so we could try to learn more about this vessel before we approach?
And he just kind of nods. And of course, given that you're on Billingberg's ship, there's all manner of off-market adjustments to it. So he flicks a couple switches and just kind of essentially sets a low-level scan, the kind of thing you would do if you, I don't know, needed to figure out who was aboard an Imperium ship that you were docking with. Are they going to be a problem for you? Are they not a problem for you? Are they on your side? Are you going to kill them? That sort of scan.
The Inquisitorial special.
That's right. Yeah, it's part of the welcoming kit. It's just like you get a rosette and that. So he says, well, it's It's an old one, old model for sure, but so it seemed to be a medical frigate, one of the old hospital ships. These things were popular a long time ago. Back when there was still, I think, some hope of recovery from injuries rather than shall we say, repurposing for the services of the Imperium. And he mimes a servo skull floating around. And this tracks with I think, Eli, you would know about this. Valentyne, you would know about this. Attikus and Morgan, this would probably be outside your realm. But Imperium medicine isn't great. It's a lot of, Attikus, you experienced this firsthand during Case File Attikus, which hopefully you all listen to, and if not, go listen to it. It's fun. But a lot of battlefield medicine and a lot of just kind of how do we fix you with stuff, not let's nurse you back to health. So these things kind of fell out of vogue a long time ago. Valentyne, you would only know about this casually. This wouldn't be something that you would have studied. Eli, I think just given your interest in ships, these things are an interesting relic because they're from a time when the living quality aboard a ship was actually considered, which isn't really something that exists so much anymore. It's true on Cainhurst's ship because it's a luxury vessel, but generally things are built for function now, not for sort of, I guess, for mercenary function, not for
it's
comfort.
also on an Imperial ship. It's if you're not doing well, then you're probably not performing as you should be. You should probably just die and let someone else replace you.
Hence we could try and heal you over a span of months, or we could just melt your skin off and turn you into a very useful floating skull.
Yeah, exactly.
Look, those adornments don't come from nowhere.
Servitors have to come from somewhere.
That's what I'm talking about. They don't grow on trees.
Yeah.
They grow in wombs and then up into adults and then back into servitors.
I'm only just now getting the servitor talk. I'm finally understand.
When a mommy and daddy don't love their baby very much.
I was trying to figure out where the Adeptus Mechanicus comes in. It's a weird, creepy stork with a bunch of robot arms.
They're the stork, and they take the baby away and make it into something useful for the Imperium.
It's like a Santa stork.
Yeah, exactly. Look, he's already got the robes.
S4 and T4.
Considered blasphemous on many Imperium worlds. On others, just think of an aspect of the Emperor himself. Possible Chaos Demon. So, this is it's an oddity, and Eli, you wouldn't really know too much about it other than just the look of it is odd for a vessel of the Imperium. It is large and bulky. From what you can see, again, it's just kind of a dark shape against thing, but it doesn't look as much like a cathedral as a lot of ships do. Definitely still has battlements and things because 40K, baby. But this thing would feel clunky and kind of out of place amongst the ships that you're used to. Yeah. But again, it's not a pocket ship for you that you just know a bunch about. You just know that these things were in vogue back when there was still a hope of, flying your guardsmen in for assistance. So very old, very, very big.
All right.
We need to identify the location of where this beacon is coming from, because whatever is there is likely the system that is functioning most in tune, one might say, with a power source, which point we can rip the data we can find, learn what became of this vessel and the others surrounding it, and then perhaps chug off back to somewhere else and find Cainhurst's actual ship, hoping to use this knowledge. Is there somewhere where we could submit a boarding party nearby this beacon?
So Grimly doesn't actually, he can't pull up schematics for this. The ship is that old that they aren't really on file anymore. But he says, based on my understanding of how these things were built, they had a lot of ships coming in and out to drop off the wounded and to pick up the soldiers who had recovered. So there's sure to be a couple of proper landing platforms somewhere. They didn't land in the ship itself, but would land outside and bring them in that way. That said, there should also be an emergency landing somewhere near whatever the the triage ER space was. This is still true of medical ships, so I got to assume it was true then too. But if you got someone who's flatline and you don't exactly want to find parking, you just kind of want to crash land and drag them out.
Sir, may I suggest that we do a more active scan to ensure that there are no booby traps or anything, mines in the vicinity that might destroy unsuspecting vessels such as ours?
The only thing to balance against that is, do we want to give an active signal before we're able to shield ourselves with the bulk of the vessel itself? What would you say the odds are of it being mined? He's just looking at an expert. Everybody else is here, but this is all eyes for Eli.
It's impossible to give the odds, sir. We're in unknown territory.
Okay, well, if you had to give the odds, what would you give them as? Stealth or a ping? Those are our options. The risks are clear for both.
I have to recommend a ping, sir.
All right, run the ping.
All right. So Grimly just kind of nods and just sends out like a pulse to ping the ship and kind of bounce off it to the local area. The ping shows that there is, like, the ship is very large, as you expected. It does not pick up any mines, although it does pick up additional wreckage that seems to have a similar signature to the haulers. So just kind of drifting a little further away, a little bit behind the Marnie's song, but it picks up that and then the ship itself. In terms of the signal, it's very difficult to like narrow the field on that because there isn't much to scan. It's just coming from somewhere aboard the ship.
Interesting. Morgan, how are you with slicing? Are you good with data, machinery, hauling things out of, one might say, unwanted places in a digital sense?
I appreciate your faith, Inquisitor, but it is more of the stealth. If you needed someone to go scout ahead, but technology is not my strong suit, you could say.
Well, unfortunately, that appears our only tech expert is Gideon Kotov, who's now being promoted to Inquisitorial agent for this mission because we can't risk losing any data over this insertion. Let's find a way to get aboard that ship, the closest landing point to the beacon. We'll need some kind of quarantine suit, some way that we can seal ourselves off from the environment, at least in terms of our lungs, and I don't know what atmosphere is available, so that's Thaddeus Thunderhorn's problem. And then Eli and Attikus. We are going to need some kind of breaching cutter to get us through doors that no longer have power. Obviously, we have your fist. I'm not complaining about that. But at the same time, we might want something with a tad more precision.
I'll see what we have aboard, sir.
And Gideon is just like, I didn't expect I'd be going from prisoner to a member of the team so fast, but looking forward to working with y'all. And he like does a wink and a finger gun, like he like winks one of his mechanical eyes and gives a finger gun to Attikus.
Oh, he bristles at that. Doesn't like that at all.
And then he like toddles off to his lab.
Yeah, good, because it was not.
Eli,
it's best that he leaves.
Yeah, Eli kind of mutters like, "Know your place, heretic," as he's like going off to find.
Like Thaddeus hears it and just nods and mutters like, "Yes, this is wisdom." And he like kisses his Aquila. Okay, so Attikus, you're going in search of precision breach tools. And then Thaddeus is going in search of, I think it's safe to say that you would have just kind of standard, we'll say probably like breather masks is probably the easiest thing for this. It's a big enough ship that even with damage, like the initial scans suggest that, it's not in a vacuum. There's enough atmosphere inside that you'll be able to move around as long as you've got kind of the breather masks on.
Tom, knowing that we're in a relatively well-equipped ship, would we have access to mag boots, which are boots that allow you to magnetically seal 2 floors and or walls in 0G so you can walk around like a human?
Oh, that's why they're called
I
mag
have
boots.
mag boots.
Oh.
Okay,
Well, I mean, I
someone
don't know.
already has
Did you go to jail for the crimes of Castor Troy? Because if so, then yeah, you got those mag boots. But if not, I think it would be safe to say there's probably 2 pairs of mag boots. It's a well-equipped ship, but Kanehurst also expects other people to do the work. Or sorry, not Kanehurst. Billingberg would have expected other people to do the work for him, and he kept a pretty light crew. So I think there's 2 pairs kicking around. It sounds like Eli brought his own, which is nice.
I paid for those. Those are mine.
You bought them from the surplus store.
Yeah.
I brought this wall from home.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd say you've got 2 pairs.
Knowing how dexterous Morgan is, and if Morgan is going to be scouting and or disappearing into ducts, it feels like they would be the least useful for Morgan. Valentyne will
correct.
issue them to himself and Attikus. Kotov's probably got a bunch of fucking robot arms and shit, so he's not
fine.
worried about
he's
him.
Fine, baby. Also, realistically, if you want Attikus to be able to punch things with any weight, if he's in 0G, he's going to have a hard, funny
He'll be
time.
punching himself away from targets.
Just unleash a haymaker and go flying backwards. Yeah.
You'll just be a Smash Brothers character, really. It's just like floating in awkward directions and punching. Yeah, okay, that makes sense to me. So you equip those. I think in terms of precision breaching material, he doesn't have there's not like a SWAT kit on board, but there certainly are torches and things that would be used for repairs.
I'd accept a man-portable industrial cutter of some kind.
Well,
Ken
what's that
Retwick's
behind
got to
your
come
champ?
through, right?
Yeah, of course. How could he not? Yeah, there's definitely that for patching up the ship, and I think it's easy enough to find. It's in Kotov's lab because he's been using it to build his weird lab. So you're able to do that. It's annoying to you, Attikus, but he's also managed to make it more portable. So it's almost more like a hand torch. You don't need to carry like a bunch of stuff. He's managed to miniaturize it. It's still, I think we'll say it's still a 2-handed tool if you want to use it with precision. So think of it, I'm almost imagining like the size of a Tommy gun.
Okay.
So with realistically it's a super soaker, but like Tommy gun sounds cooler. So it's got like a big tank on it, but it's like the size of a rifle now, so you can you don't have to carry around. You don't have to do the No Country for Old Men carry. It's got enough on it.
If it doesn't have a sling, I'll fashion a sling for it so I can carry it over my shoulder. Yeah.
And actually, realistically, you could one-hand it in your power fist if you needed to. It would just be less accurate because you're
not made for delicate work. That part of my body. Yeah.
Cool. So you're kitted out with all of those things. Again, Grimly's scans suggest that it'll be unpleasant on there. You can almost think of the air as being thin. There, from the initial ping, he doesn't have a full schematic of the ship or anything, but he has been able to determine that there is damage to it. There are pieces missing. In some cases, full wings of the hospital are missing from the ship. The weird thing being it's so big that doesn't really make it any more manageable. But it does mean that there has been some atmospheric loss, and obviously it doesn't have power. So you've got 2 landing. So in terms of landing options, there are 2 landing platforms and a crash pad. So the landing platforms are large. You can almost see them as like helipads with umbilicals that kind of would have those accordion umbilicals that would have attached to allow for transfer. Of course, those aren't there. So we'll say that you can safely make it across. They just it's a larger space. So there are 2 of those. There's landing pad 1 or landing platform 1, landing platform 2. They're kind of just over halfway through the body of the ship. So they'll drop you kind of in the middle of the ship. Alternatively, the crash pad, I'm going to use, even though we're in space, I've drawn my maps flat from the top down, almost like I'm playing FTL. I'm just going to use north, south, east, west because it's easiest for me. But please 4D chess it in your heads so that it is not like those.
Sorry, is north the front of the ship or the top? Of the ship?
North is the back of the ship where the engines are.
Oh, okay.
South is where you are.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So there's a platform to the east, a platform to the west. There's ship missing to the west. There's a wing missing. Not like woo woo flying through the sky wing, but like, some rich asshole named it after his family wing of the ship is gone.
Yeah.
But the mirrored side on the east, the wing is not only there, but there is a crash pad. So safe to assume that both of these sides would lead to some kind of triage. Mm-hmm. But basically the crash pad is, you can think of that as like where the ambulance just like pulls up in front of the hospital for a dump and go. So that is further south, so closer to the front of the ship than the landing pads. Also, perhaps most notably, the landing platforms are meant for like less critical deliveries or larger mass deliveries. So they will deliver you into a different part of the hospital than the crash pad will. So those are kind of your entry vectors. One last thing. From the ping, Grimly is able to determine that the bridge is likely directly in front of you.
It makes sense.
So there's kind of a large rounded bulb at the front of the ship that is flanked by cannon turrets, and he has identified that as the bridge. It's not where the ping is coming from. He's just identified it. Also, I'm going to need it to geographically tell you where you are.
Sir, I would recommend taking the crash pad if there was any emergencies that took place. There may be more information there where emergencies would have been dealt with.
All right, take us in there. I'll prepare the rest of the crew. And while this flight is happening in, Valentyne's going to go around and basically just arm everybody on the ship. Because if we're going to send a boarding party off the ship, the last thing he wants to have reserves that he can call in afterwards. Or if somebody's making a move on the ship while we're not on it, he would like it to be armed. And then he would very quietly like to go to Father Marcellus and make sure Father Marcellus locks himself on the bridge with Grimly Moody so that Grimly Moody can't run. Because Father Marcellus is the person that Valentyne has the most faith in of not abandoning the team by being on the bridge. Thaddeus would never betray us, but I think he could get steamrolled by anybody. Whereas Father Marcellus with a shotgun on a bridge with a locked door, good fucking luck.
So you find Father Marcellus, and despite not having put on his he's still wearing his outfit kind of tied at the waist. He's got a mask on, and as you approach, he just kind of lowers it so he doesn't have the Bane voice, and says, I'm afraid I do not have mag boots, but I will make do. And he shows you that he's in bare feet. He says, I've been making small balls with my feet to attempt better grip, and I think if the will of the Emperor flows through my feet to the deck, that I can hold on long enough to get a few shots off. I look forward to this boarding action very much.
Father, the Emperor requires different service of you, but one that is perhaps more integral than any member of the boarding party bar myself. I require someone to stay here on the bridge and ensure that no matter the circumstance, this ship will not leave the boarding party behind.
I see. If the Emperor wills it, and he just very disappointedly rolls his socks back on and puts them back in his shoes, and says, I regret that I will not be able to stand shoulder to shoulder with you, Inquisitor, but I respect the need for this as well. Also, I left that log I was telling you about my adventures with Attikus. I left that for you in your quarters, so if you ever feel like reading it.
That is greatly appreciated. And just to make
5
it
episodes,
clear,
it's a lot of fun. It's vaguely canonical, but also not.
Eli's standing outside the bridge tapping his foot.
Just to make it clear, you are the person I trust most on this ship. I am putting you in my confidence ahead of an interrogator assigned by another Inquisitor. You are the only person I'm putting on that bridge with Grimly Moody. Lock that door. Serve the Emperor. Right now, you are the only thing that could save the Emperor from dying on the throne.
And, like, you didn't know a man could grow an inch so quickly, but he just straightens right up. He says, of course, Inquisitor, you'll have to forgive an old man a moment of weakness. I forget sometimes that there are roles beyond the battlefield that need filling. Your faith in me shall not be misplaced.
And we'll find you the right battlefield in future, I promise. The Emperor seems to be sending us several.
He nods and just starts, like, humming a jaunty war hymn as he makes his way into the bridge, and you just hear, like, immediately, like, feet go up on the dash, and you just hear the cocking of a shotgun, and just kind of echoing down the hall, you hear him say, "Moody, have I ever told you how closely I served with Attikus Vis? He and I see things very, very similarly, you know?" And then the door shuts.
Morgan, if you could just spare a moment.
Yes, Inquisitor, what can I do for you?
Wonderful. Step into my office. And he just opens his door and kind of gets you in there and then closes the door. And he's like, I haven't seen you in a while. How is your mission progressing?
I've been doing everything I can. Interrogator Cora spends a lot of time in her room, so I had to make adjustments to keep an eye on her. As Morgan has meanwhile been in the ceiling watching people's rooms, mostly Cora's, for the past however long.
Yeah, I'm glad we installed all those Metal Gear vents. They're just, like, good for context vents, I think they're called. Morgan, can you please roll me? I was gonna say, well, I'll give you the choice. I was initially gonna say a perception, but I think that's wrong. I feel like it's probably skullduggery or stealth. But what do you think Morgan would be using over this span of time? I basically just want to get a roll from you to see how successful you're.
Yeah. I get any of those would be good, but I was thinking stealth because Morgan's, not only is she comfortable being in, like, the bowels and the tight spaces in a ship, but she's also very easily entertained because I think what she has done this entire time, for one thing, she has Toby. So even if she's stuck in a little hole, unable to move, she can watch what's going on and have some kind of, like, input no matter what, because it's in her brain. But she also has the stummer, which makes there no sound. So I feel like Morgan even could be, like, taking snacks up into a vent, sitting there and eating them with the sound dampener so nobody knows. She could just be up there. So I think it just was a matter of watching for a very long time. Like, she just disappeared into the ceiling.
I like that Morgan is basically just any of us on mute in a Zoom call. It's just like you can do whatever you want. We're just like, you're like breaking glass and we're just like, she's so quiet. Amazing. I spent a long time in the first Deus Ex and then just immediately in all subsequent ones buying that upgrade because it's all I ever want from any character. So I respect the hell out of that choice. So yeah, let's go with stealth. I think honestly, I'm not going to set this too high. You have that going for you.
Yeah. And if I'm allowed to use the actual stummer, it gives me +3 boost to stealth checks.
Great. Love that. Well, yeah, I mean, I think you can definitely use that. Because again, the other thing is, like, this isn't like an active battlefield situation. This is someone who is grieving, but also busy doing her job and is also taking a fuck ton of drugs, is not expecting creepy vent watchers, you know?
Just when you think you're safe, Valentyne finally got the full ship schematics to Morgan, and she's like, oh yes, this is my time.
yeah, and it's basically just a clue map. There's just all sorts of secret passages. All right,
Valentyne is basically a secret police officer combined with a creepy Airbnb owner.
I just want to make sure no one's fucking in my hot tub.
No parties, he says quietly to himself as he stalks through the hallways late at night.
I love it.
Yeah, truly the villain of the series. All right, so Morgan, I'm gonna just set this difficulty at 3, and the only reason it's 3 is just it's an extended period of time, and I think the best way to think of this is less like, is Morgan capable of doing this? Because I think we've determined the answer is yes, and more how much does Cora tip her hand over that spell of time?
Right.
So that'll be the difficulty. I'm going to give you a setback because vents are uncomfortable. As John McClane told us, you know what a TV dinner feels like. So you're comfortable sneaking around these things. It's just, this isn't one of those video game vents that's so large that you can like stand up or crouch. This is a crawly.
Oh yeah, she's just wedged herself in there for sure. Yeah.
So you get a setback for that. And then I'm also going to give you a setback just for Cora coming and going.
Yes.
You're in a really great spot when she's in her quarters. When she isn't, you can like set yourself up in different places throughout the ship, obviously, but this is the only guaranteed spot you have for her.
Right.
Other than that, though, it sounds like you get a bunch of boost from your and sorry, Strummer is the name?
A Stummer. Yeah.
Nice. Sorry for stumbling over that. So you've got that. I'll see myself out. I think, honestly, I'm going to give you a boost for Toby just because having distraction makes your stakeout a hell of a lot easier. Your mind doesn't wander as much because you can literally just leave the room. Anything else you want to make a case for?
No, but I would, if there's story points to spend, I don't know what you've done with them.
It has been a hot second. So Ryan,
I've got a list of where we were at last time, which was we had 2, and I think you had 3. Tom was where we left off.
Yeah.
You know what? I will spend one because you're going to need a bunch of them for bigger checks than this. So
hey, this was all that Morgan did for like days. So
yeah,
well, putting all the spice on it.
Look, if you roll really high, we'll just stop the action and just do a solo series. There'll be 4 episodes. We'll get Patreon names again. It'll be silly.
Right.
Yeah.
It'll be called She Skulk.
Oh, no. Wow.
A Morgan at Rhalls.
Oh, all right. Here we go. I'm scared of this roll because it has so much shenanigans in it. But here we go. Why? Why this? Why? 2 successes, 2 advantages, 1 despair. What did I see, Tom?
Whoa.
What have I seen?
Okay, hang on.
You pooped yourself in the vent. Only you know it, but it's so depressing.
Yeah, give me those numbers again.
It is.
Does the stomach suppress smells?
Yeah,
2
you needed to bring the
successes.
snuffer.
No,
That's
what
the problem.
sucked is that you pooped in there and then you had to crawl back through it.
Yeah.
Well, it's Cora's room, so, you know.
And now
2
Cora's just
successes.
wandering through the place, just being like, "Who's shit in my air vent?" She thinks it's like a prank. Like it's
Hayes.
Blame it on
Welcome to the
Grimly,
Inquisition.
it's fine.
but she's fucked up enough that she's worried she's shit in her own air vent and just can't remember. Like she's just having a time.
Yeah.
Thaddeus just assumes it's his fault because he's a heretic.
And if anybody's pooping weird places, it's got to be the Beast guy. You know?
Oh no, he uses a very, very like Niles Crane level specific bathroom. Like he's got a whole thing.
God.
All right, Morgan.
2 successes, 2 advantages, 1 despair.
1 despair. All right.
Despair.
Well, that does complicate things somewhat, doesn't it? Okay. So the good news is you hear stuff, so that's good.
Yeah, my other main thing I wanted to know was how much drugs does she have left? that was a main thing of my ponderances.
Yeah. So I think the alarming thing, Morgan, is as you observe her over a span of days, you can kind of come to understand how she managed to keep drugs, like her drug use, under the radar, like under the nose of the Inquisition, because she seems to have like basically bolt hole drugs everywhere. It's not like she's just carrying around like, I have a tin with all of my drugs in it. It's like you've seen her somehow produce drugs from several different, like, she unscrewed the back of a shotgun shell and like dumped out some drugs. She pulled some out of a book at one point. It just suggests to you that she's one of those addicts where properly, like if Valentyne orders you or anyone to, like, it's not like Eli with like very clear bottles of alcohol where you can just say like, we're getting rid of these. It would be very, very difficult to ensure that she doesn't have access to these things. And honestly, that kind of tracks with the, raised in a hive kind of mentality. So there's that. For the despair,
It's nothing more than poop, Tom. We already discussed it.
yeah, right. I forgot you guys were GMing the game. It's cool. Yeah. Hey, did you save the Emperor today? That's great. Good news at the end. So for the despair, Morgan, you actually come to find yourself like sympathizing and honestly kind of liking Cora. There's something about this kind of like, you recognize this cycle of someone who is essentially alone, essentially kind of doing what they need to survive, and you don't get a whiff of the heresy you've been told to look for, which is a problem because Valentyne's pretty sure there's heresy afoot. And given your own tenuous relationship to him, the fact that you like this person and it seems like she's innocent is actually incredibly bad for you. Because if you could come back with evidence that, like, catch her red-handed and come back with evidence, then you'd be in, like, Valentyne's good books forever. Not saying this is necessarily how Valentyne feels, but this is how I would assume Morgan thinks about people and how she uses people. Like, you can't get on side giving him good news is where the despair comes in for you. So that is a thought that is now in your head, and you can do with it what you will. And you get 2 advantage, so you can add a boost to something in the future. Ha ha!
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh yay.
What a great day. Morgan, how are you feeling then about seeing kind of like weirdly a kindred spirit that you're also watching through a bolt hole? So it's a one-way, it's a very rear window relationship, but kind of just seeing Cora go through like her daily rituals, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I think that's very weird for Morgan. And I think it reminds her of a younger time because prior to being in the Inquisition, she was on another ship that she was like creepy little girl on the walls that no one knew was there for a long time. And that was originally how she eventually befriended some of the people that she was running away with, was basically just watching them. Because I think she feels a lot more comfortable watching people than interacting with them directly. So, so it's a very, very bad role. It's just not a good thing.
Yeah. Okay. I like that a lot. So, yeah, just re-evoking a time in your life that you had actively put so far behind you that it didn't even occur to you that you were accidentally recreating it until you were there. And then it was like, oh, yes. Right. This is why I don't do this. Okay. So that's where you're at with that. So how much of that would you reveal to Valentyne? Also, keep in mind, you do have a floating boost to whoever rolls dice next.
Yep. Let's see. She would say, so I discovered that she was doing a lot of drugs. It obscura, as I've seen. I recall you having strong opinions about Eli's usage, so I assume that you would rather her not be doing that, but rest assured, I've watched her take the last few vials that she had, and there is no more.
Excellent. I've organized drug tests through Thaddeus Thunderhorn, so assuming there will be an announcement, which Thaddeus had explained, so in a week the test will be taking place, she'll pass easily, it'll all move forwards. Or if she tries something underhanded, that'll be a true educational lesson about both her and our professional relationship. But if she's out of the drugs, she'll pass. I have no problems. So, excellent.
Yes, I didn't see any other bad behavior from her. Mostly she seemed very sad about who knows what. Lots of crying.
acceptable. Do you have any plans for her assassination?
Well, I had thought to use the drugs, perhaps, but considering that will be out, did you not want to take her along with us on this mission?
I'm not interested in someone going into withdrawal joining us on a combat mission.
Understood. I will look into other ways of dealing with her.
Excellent. You could also get drugs from Thaddeus Thunderhorn. You understand that they don't have to be her drugs to look like they're her drugs, right?
Oh, well, I didn't know that you had Obscura on hand, but I suppose yes, if it looked like a similar vial.
I mean, the joy of being an Inquisitor is we don't actually have to have the tools we need. We have to have a narrative that allows those tools to be useful. If she's an Obscura addict and runs out of Obscura, what's she going to do? She's going to try other drugs that are being kept in the medical wing. We choose the drug, we set up the place, we tell the narrative. We're providing the evidence, and we are the people investigating the case. Also, if there is an interrogator of the Inquisition who is hiding a drug habit, that is an extreme problem for the Inquisition. I mean, the Emperor sends us very nice problems because the Emperor also sent you to solve it. So that's the joy, yin, yang, balance, etc.
I understand. You are dead set on this. She cannot be useful in some other way.
What way do you think she'll be useful?
I do not know, but I figured throwing away able-bodied people on a small ship such as this would not be good tactics.
You said she's doing a great amount of Obscura. How is she an able-bodied crew member who is crying all the time and constantly doing drugs?
Well, we are going onto a medical ship, are we not? Maybe we can find something that would help her.
Do you have feelings for this person?
Of course not, Inquisitor.
Well, you're showing a shocking amount of empathy.
I think we need some rolls.
No, I'm not lying to you. What are you talking about?
Well, if you're not, that's fine. Never mind.
This.
I revoke it. Okay. So I think, how do we want to do this? I think it's an opposed check, so we'll just have you both roll and then see what's what.
Cool. Yeah, Valentyne's definitely going with perception. He's got his robot eyes and he's just watching for tells because there's biological stuff that even the best have trouble turning off.
Sure.
And Morgan, what are you using?
Deception.
Okay.
Oh my god, I fucking
should one of
love
us
the
roll and
image.
use the other as the difficulty?
I'm sorry?
Should one of us roll and then just use the other person's stats as the difficulty?
So I was going to do that. I think I'm actually just going to have you both roll against a difficulty and then see who comes out on top for maximum chaos.
It is maximum chaos.
Because I don't want to, basically,
Compare
the reason I want to do it
scores.
this way is to not deny either of you all of your weird boons and bonuses. So with that in mind, Morgan, what is your cunning?
My cunning is 4.
Okay. So Valentyne, that's going to be your difficulty. And Valentyne, for perception, what is your...
It's also cunning.
cunning.
Which is 4.
All right. 4? All right. So we've got, given that it's a similar difficulty on both sides, I'm inclined to drop it to 3 just to rein in the chaos ever so slightly. So we're going to say the difficulty of 3. And then I just want to hear your cases for shit. There are 3 story points on the table. Obviously, you're not rolling against me. I don't know that I feel comfortable bringing the dice on this one way or another. So I might just stay out of it. Seems the fair thing to do.
All right. So I will battle for 1 boost for my 2 advantages. And then I also being from a quarantine world gives me 1 boost to deception checks made to conceal information.
Nice.
Wow.
Hell yeah. All right.
That's what I got.
I dig all of that. And Valentyne, what do you got for me?
Valentyne's bionics would only help him if he was removing a difficulty as opposed to adding a boost.
I'm so scared.
Ryan, I'll let you take that as a boost.
Cool.
Since we're doing a weird thing where it's like an opposed check piece, I want to make sure you get the benefit because she isn't imposing disadvantage on you. So
yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so I'll add that as a boost.
I love the imagery of just Valentyne's eyes moving like not naturally, just like scanning Morgan.
Just doing the slight robotic adjustment twitches.
Yeah.
It's very
so fucking cool.
I'm going to make a pitch here, but I think she's come in so soft and out of character that it's worth a boost. Because for her to be like, what if someone who clearly has major problems is actually really useful and we went on a dangerous mission and sidetracked to help them does not math out with anything he's seen from her
Yeah,
before.
all right. I'd buy
That's
that.
fair. That's very fair. This has thrown Morgan very much.
And then I will say Valentyne would spend a story point because this is super fucking key for him because he's still trying to figure out if this person can actually be saved. But if this person's existence is corrupting people around him, that's a major fucking problem.
Morgan, I'm also going to give you a setback because you really care about the outcome of this. It's not just for you, it's for someone else, and you're not used to having weak spots.
Yeah, I feel like this is not going to go well.
There are 2 story points still up for grabs.
We have also learned these are total crapshoots. We can be really confident.
I
Each
know
our
that's
best
what's
rolls.
terrible
This
about
system is
this.
chaos.
This
It's delightful.
it is. I don't know.
Don't take our pool into consideration. Spend one if you want to for this. If this is an important role to Morgan, then
I think
for
it's
it. Doesn't
even
matter.
it's less like
If Morgan's life depends on it, use the story.
I feel like that's more what it feels like, honestly.
And also keep in mind, like, obviously, like, I don't really give a shit about metagaming too much in these circumstances, given the complexity of Genesis. But we as players tend to talk about story points in a really, like, transactional way. What they're really meant to do is just like, if it's an important moment, the story point gets spent, not like you yourself have spent it. So I feel like, honestly, I would spend the story point on this because I feel like
I'm doing it. I think it is.
it's pretty bad, man.
It's
This is
pretty
all
bad.
really bad.
and this is she is definitely making. She knows it's bad to lie to Valentyne. So
Yeah, not the best. Okay, so we have our pools.
Yep.
I'm scared.
Morgan versus Valentyne in a battle for the soul of Cora. Let's see what happens. Never challenge an Inquisitor when there's death on the line. Old Inquisitorial proverb. Morgan, you are lying to the Inquisitor's face about Interrogator Cora and what you've observed of her, and more importantly, the empathy you are starting to feel for her as a shadow of the life you once led. Valentyne, you are trying to determine whether or not Morgan Rhalls is a reliable member of your party and what's to be done about a problem like Cora. You both put together your pools last episode. You have rolled. Let's hear the results.
I'll go first because it's probably not enough. 1 success, 1 advantage.
oof.
3 successes and 2 advantage.
No getting around that.
Valentyne, you see right through it.
You make an interesting point. She may be of more use to us alive than dead. I'll take this into consideration. Hopefully she passes her sobriety test in a week, and she doesn't have some sort of hidden stash you're not aware of, and then we can move forward with the possibility of a positive relationship. The possibility, to be clear. I would like a foolproof plan from you for a way to carry out the assassination within the next week, should that become necessary.
It shall be done, Inquisitor.
Based on your observation, do you believe she should be brought on this mission?
I think that she is not doing any good to anyone lingering in her room. Considering she is an inquisitorial agent, I think that doing something would probably be better than what she has been doing.
I'll second her to you. We don't have any more maglock boots, but the two of you can act as forward scouts moving through the ship.
If that is what you wish me to do, I do not know how good she is at sneaking, but...
That is what I wish you to do, so do it. Maybe you could teach her something. It's a good moment for everyone. Also, it's theoretically close to zero gravity and minimal atmosphere. You won't be able to make that much noise to begin with.
That is true. All right, Inquisitor. Shall we be on our way then?
Absolutely. I'm just going to check a few notes.
She will let herself out. She's going to go get Cora now. Great. Great.
And he's just going to close the door and take a moment to himself and just say, tremendously disappointing. But hey, you always send me some bonuses I don't expect, don't you, big guy? And he's just going to cheer himself up knowing that the Emperor sent him this problem and then go off to join the boarding party.
All right. Attikus, you got the torch that you need for the breach, but you had to get it from Kotov's lab. You can see he's tooled it up a bit, which again is annoying to you. But he is also tooling up to come on the mission. Is there anything in particular you're looking for or wanting to do, kind of when you have this moment alone with Kotov before you go join the main group? Other than like Squish has had like a grape, which I know is like always front of mind for you, but not something you're currently able to do.
No, just silently appraising his every move and weighing whether it is heretical or not.
Cool. It doesn't seem to be, other than the fact that he's got Xenos tech that he's, bringing along.
Heretical enough for me. If he's bringing Xenos technology along,
hey, he's bringing his best stuff. So he's, he's not purely carrying Imperium stuff. It's similar to the helmet that he uses for the brain scans. It's just like he's slapped together. He's got like an Auspix that's like got some weird Tau shit sticking out of it. It's just augmented stuff with bits and bobs.
All right.
He literally looks like a classic Games Workshop. I bought a bunch of sprues at a sale and just cut little bits off and glued them wherever I wanted kind of thing.
I mean, Attikus will definitely report that to Valentyne ahead of this mission. Say, he'll like, once Kotov is ready to leave, he will also leave and just briefly try to reach the Inquisitor privately.
I think you probably find Valentyne in the hallway on the way there, kind of thing.
Sir Kotov is bringing blasphemous equipment along on this mission. Well, do you think it's appropriate, to desecrate the hulls of a mighty Imperial vessel such as that one out there with, whatever that muck is he's carting about?
The thing we have to balance that against is how effective will Kotov be without his chosen equipment? Because I need to save the Emperor, and if that requires dragging a heretic along with his heretical equipment, which we are already allowing in our general person, through an abandoned ship that theoretically is hallowed, but could be from an age past, or even from, shall we say, a darker persuasion over time, I'm willing to make that exchange to be sure that we get the data we need to save the Emperor.
That's all I needed to hear, sir.
Excellent. Though the fact that you're bringing these things to me and considering them on an ongoing basis is impressive. You're thinking the right thoughts. We're just teaching you to think a few more steps ahead in the chess game.
Well, thank you, sir. I was assigned to keep an eye out for heretical activity and report it, and I will continue to do so.
Excellent, Colonel. Excellent. And in his head, he's like, I can make this guy kill someone if I need to. There's one useful fucking person on this goddamn boat.
As if it wouldn't be an absolute pleasure.
Wow. It'd be a pleasure for Kotov. There are a lot of people on this boat who might need to be eliminated at some point.
That is true.
Eli, is there anything you would be doing prior to the boarding action? I mean, you are in your element. We're finally doing a boarding, which is nice. But are there any preparations you'd be doing?
I have cleaned all of my weapons. I have double checked the auspex in my armor, and then done a quick lap, just to remind everyone of their duties during boarding action.
In
And
case
that's
the
it.
drills didn't get the message across.
Yeah, just in case.
Well, the
Just
drills
in
were
case.
defensive. We're going offensive now. It's a different game. And I think when it comes to the boarding action, Valentyne would give Eli basically full command. Eli knows more about boarding actions and about ship structure than anybody else. So to be like, you've got Cora and Morgan functioning as scouts. You've got the rest of the team with you. We need to find the beacon. We need to steal whatever information we can. Those are our primary objectives. Secondary, if we can find, depending on where that leads us, if it leads us somewhere near the bridge, I'd love to know the mystery of what the chug happened to this vessel. But otherwise, the priority is determine purpose of beacon, find information regarding the ships we are looking for. Anything else is peripheral.
This vessel was the size of a city, sir. How much time are we giving to this mission?
Well, we're not planning on bringing a lot of food with us, and the atmosphere is an ongoing concern. So hopefully we can do this within the first 6 to 8 hours, but we'll take the time that's necessary.
Understood, sir.
All right. So with that, you are prepared. You're kind of brought to the I guess it would probably be the cargo bay, which is where you kind of initially entered the ship. That would also have one of these sort of like umbilicals that could likely stick to something if it needed to get the breach action you need. With Father Marcellus at his side, grimly maneuvers the Marnie's song kind of along the side of the ship. I think at this point he's probably got a searchlight on in order to kind of get a sense of what we're looking at. And again, you can see the odd shape of this old ship. You can see written in Gothic kind of across the bridge over the main sort of viewport the name of the ship, Mercy for the Pure, which has like the Medicae sigil, an older version of the Medicae sigil, kind of.
How much older?
Not that much older. Like it's the kind of thing where it's, a couple logo redesigns old, not like this. Basically, this isn't Golden Age. Like it's not so old that it's like, oh, holy shit.
Gotcha.
But it's old enough that you're like, oh, okay, but it's not like out of memory old.
Gotcha.
The light dances across the main viewport of the bridge, casting shadows. You see no movement. Obviously, it's something that everyone is very acutely looking for on the bridge. Coming out alongside, you can basically see that there are two wings, building wings attached to the side of the ship that you're coming around on. You can think of these as kind of large, rectangular, two-story building structures. So you would imagine probably 2 floors, but like the wing you would expect to find in a hospital for various things. So there are 2 of these 2-story structures connected by a large, sort of massive, think like a walkway bridge type situation that you'd see kind of between 2 buildings over a road, but built into it and built permanent. It doesn't have like windows and stuff. It's built to allow traffic between them. Basically a small hallway. And from that, there's one that connects it to the main ship, and then there's one connecting the two wings to each other. And then finally, there's the crash pad, which is a small drop-off space. It's a little platform that looks like it can retract, kind of swing down under the wing it's attached to. it does seem to have a kind of dome that can quickly be popped up over it. However, that seems to be kind of shattered and like it's down, but there's a like it's clearly broken long ago and is open to the elements. So it's one of those weird things where the rib cage of it is still over top of the pad, but there's nothing to give you the atmosphere you need. So Grimly brings the ship down onto the crash pad. The ship is a little big for this. This is really meant for a smaller craft to just kind of dump people. So it's a bit awkward. Good news is there's no gravity in space, so it's not like you got to worry about tipping off and just like stumbling off into nowhere. He's able to get you down. He extends the umbilical and basically just comes over the Vox and says, all right, this is as close as I can get you. It's up to you all now. Best of luck, Inquisitor. And then you just hear the cock of a shotgun. He's like, we'll be waiting for you. Not going anywhere. Just waiting for you whenever you're done. Emperor speed.
Excellent. Eli, I'm handing operational command over to you at this point.
Aye, sir. All right. Let's get into our boarding order.
Attikus will move up to the front with shield and a fist at the ready.
Excellent. And who has the biggest weapons? Who else coming? Is it just...
It's Eli, we've got Attikus, we've got Morgan, we've got Interrogator Cora, and then pulling up the rear, at least of this first thing, would probably be Gideon Kotov and Valentyne.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Attikus, you'll be opening an entryway into this, and Morgan, you and I will be covering that hole. If anything comes out, it's getting blasted immediately.
Aye, Eli. Morgan has a sniper rifle.
And I think Cora is likely over your shoulder, Morgan, with her pistol drawn, and it's very much one of those like, if the sniper misses the thing running at us, then I shoot it in the face a bunch. She's silent, determined. You get the sense that Valentyne, at least for you, like the training is starting to come through on her, which is just like, oh yeah, she knows her shit, and more importantly, knows how to stay out of the way. Like she picked the right place without being told, and it's just kind of there. Gideon Kotov, despite all of his wackiness, is making himself scarce. You can see from like his clicking mechanical fingers that every so often he's almost gold blooming something in, and then thinking better of it, realizing just how dire this situation is. So you hear the occasional like from behind you, but otherwise he's keeping it together, just popping his lenses back in.
Perfect.
From time to time.
Valentyne is just shadowing Kotov because he's the person who's like the brain of this operation. They need him to get to the data terminal and then theoretically get back with whatever. He's also not the most trustworthy member of the party. So yeah, Valentyne is like refractor field on, bolt pistol in one hand, power sword in the other, but sticking by Kotov at the back of the group.
All right, sir. Attikus, Rhalls, Cora, and I will be securing the pathway back to our ship as we move forward. Every single room is either blocked or cleared. Understood?
Understood.
Affirmative.
All right.
Okay.
Commencing breach.
So Attikus, I'm just going to let you have this. I think you've got the right tools, and there's nothing really stopping you.
Okay.
So on Eli's order, the welder kind of like snaps to life. Reflected sparks blasting off it, kind of reflected in your glasses as you cut a hole. There's a slight drop in pressure when you do breach the door, just as things stabilize. a good way to think of this is kind of like breathing mountain air, where you've got your breathers on anyway, but there's a bit of that floaty sense where fabric isn't as heavily draped on you, but you're able to walk without much difficulty. It's a little strange, but it's not. It's gravity's just off a little bit for you.
Okay.
The you weld open the door enough that you can kind of like force it with your arm, and you're immediately door opens and you find yourselves in a what's clearly kind of a triage space. So there are a number of lifts. You can think of this almost as if you've ever been in one of those buildings that has a sort of an atrium in the center of it. So there are kind of individual triage stalls set up kind of along the walls on both floors. There are also a number of almost like not cargo elevators, that's probably the wrong term, almost like a dumbwaiter. Like they're very simple elevators just to get you from this floor down. So basically, as people run in with stretchers, they can just kind of get shunted off to wherever they need to go. Below you, because it's not a hugely wide walkway, it's probably about 2 meters wide, or roughly, I don't know, we'll say 10, 12 feet. No, it's wrong. 10 feet? 10 feet. Wide enough to run 2 stretchers very easily, back and forth. You can see down below, there's more space for kind of like, if you need to lay a bunch of people out, that's where you can do it. Up here, there's more kind of like, send them to the sides, figure out their shit, and then we can move them through. The lights are off, obviously, but I imagine you all have those classic sci-fi, like flashlight shoulder things from all the survival horror games. And looking around, things are quiet in the triage wing. It is empty. There is gear scattered around, stretchers. You can see like obviously bandages, that sort of thing, and very classic kind of abandoned hospital vibes. Things are kind of strewn about. Not that it's been ransacked necessarily, but just kind of from movement and neglect. Things, having fallen off tables, that sort of thing. In the center, sort of looking into this room, directly across from you, both on the floor beneath you and the floor you're on, are entryways through the hallways that you saw outside with kind of those classic hospital flappy flap doors that are currently shut. But you can see that they kind of lead further in. From where you're standing, signage seems to indicate that they lead to ER1. Or sorry, ER2.
So Tom, so if I understand this, it looks like it was abandoned in a hurry.
I mean, that might take some rolls.
Okay.
Perhaps.
Because what I want to see is if it looks like if the pattern of, strewn shit all over looks like it was hastily abandoned, or if it has been moved since. Is there like someone still hiding out here? Has someone been through here?
Gotcha. Okay. So Eli will be doing that. Valentyne, Attikus, and Morgan. The way I think we're going to treat this is that Cora and Gideon will essentially be, you can almost think of them as like skills you can use rather than characters acting on their own initiative. So it's the kind of thing where it's like, hey, like Valentyne can be like, I want to slice that terminal. It's like, great, we're going to make Gideon. It's basically stealing the Star Trek system from Mephidius, which is like, Valentyne doesn't have those skills. Gideon does. So if Valentyne wants to do the thing, Gideon will just do it. Similarly, if there was something you wanted, like Morgan, if you're like, I want to cover both hallways, it's like you would cover one, Cora covers the other, that sort of thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Just prevents me from getting two turns.
You weren't talking to me, but yeah.
I know I was talking to you because this can be true of any of you.
Okay.
Honestly. Like if Eli's like, I want to slice that terminal, see if there's any booze, then like Gideon can just do that for you. So
Okay.
Yeah, Valentyne will be working. Again, he's just going to be shadowing Kotov, so I think they'll very much be one person, both in their position in the room and other elements. If there is any sort of terminal near here, he just wants them to get in and get schematics, because right now we don't have a map of this fucking place, and the faster we can get that for everybody, the more we can effectively move through where we're going. Because otherwise, it's like there's a thing over there, and we just point through walls, hoping taking left and right turns will get us, and that doesn't seem very smart.
Yep. Okay. And keep in mind, you can also assist each other in this. It's not like you each have to have a unique action. Attikus, what are you doing?
Securing the area. If this initial spot is very clearly like okay, and we're safe here for now, Attikus would be at those double doors, ready for anything to come through, and also ready to push forward.
Great. So the double doors are they do seem to be powered, so they are inactive. Like if you were to just kind of push slightly against them, they don't move. That said, it's not like they're sealed shut. They are just things with power that are currently not powered. And unfortunately, the 40K idioms are like heavy metal everywhere, so they're just like thick, heavy doors.
Yeah. So Attikus would just report that as well. It's just like, doors here require power, ready to breach when needed.
Yeah, the good news, Attikus, on your front, I think, is that this does provide kind of a natural defense, because the doors can't just like magically swing open on you.
Yeah.
All right, and Morgan, what would you be doing?
Since they can't move on yet because they have to breach the next section, because Morgan would be on scouting, think she's going to turn to Cora and be like, do you see anything suspicious? Anything spark your interest? Because in her mind, she's like, don't you have interrogator skills? Can you be useful for me here? Come on.
And like, Cora gives you a really strange look at the familiarity, the familiar way you're speaking to her, given that you have never spoken to each other before. It's very odd to her. And she just says, yeah, I'm going to help Eli. Can you get out of my way? What? I'm sorry, I don't even know why you're talking to me.
I have to keep track of you on this mission, so make yourself useful.
Great. Yeah. And she just like walks away muttering in like very, very offensive hive slang that you probably don't know. But it's just a lot of like, you know, like people occasionally slip into their mother tongues, like really obscure cuss words. It's just a little bit of that, because honestly, it's like she's doing what she was going to do anyway. So there's really like nothing has changed for her other than the fact that like it's not Valentyne giving her an order, or the guy who's like in charge of breaching the ship, or the guy who's got like military rank. It's just like some lady she's seen twice, which is some real like, well, we're technically the same title, but I'm your boss now kind of nonsense.
Yeah, technically, she is the lowest rung on all of this. So, yeah.
True, and the drug thing hasn't come out, so the I'm here to keep an eye on you thing is like, okay, like, I mean, in Cora's head, this is definitely a, oh god, this is just the stupid, like, the different Ordos wanting the glory thing, where it's like, oh, of course, Ordo, you know, Xenos gets shit on by the Hereticus. Fine, like it's cool, whatever. So she's gonna add boost to Eli's role, because she's
that's
assisting with that.
And Morgan, I'm imagining your grapple hawk is here, just so I can
Toby
picture
is
that.
Here. Yes.
Is Toby riding you? Is Toby flying nearby? What is Toby's method of travel with all of this?
Like, why is this on me? Get this shit off of me.
I think when they were at the breaching door, he was like more on Morgan's shoulder and like helping stabilize the sniper rifle. But then once they're in a bigger room, he just kind of is around. He's just looping around and checking things out.
Cool.
Okay, great. So let's go with Eli first, just because I feel like Valentyne and Kotov wouldn't necessarily do anything until you reported back, just because of how spooky everything is.
Yeah, we're not
All
like,
right.
let's march the specialist in there. We don't really know what's happening yet.
Yeah, you look for danger. Simultaneously, we're going to put ourselves in danger. Cool, great. Okay, so...
All right, so I'm doing a perception check, which isn't great normally, but I have 2 boosts from my integrated auspex and 1 from Cora.
Yeah, I'll also say you get an additional 1 for... Oh, actually, you know what? No, because this isn't a ship-specific thing. So never mind. I take that back. Yeah, so you get 1 for Cora.
Difficulty?
I'm going to say difficulty of 4 because what you're looking at is a very, like, you're investigating a very, very specific thing that's kind of hard to suss out based on what has occurred here.
Okay.
Like, the difference between an object falling off a table because someone was searching a room and falling off a table because the room was in motion are similar.
I guess I was thinking more like, has someone like sat here and eaten a snack, like or a bit like that kind of stuff,
Looking
like
for crumbs.
Okay, so you're looking for like habitation and okay, then I'll drop it to 3. That's
more like that. Yeah,
That's a different.
Eli
that's
puts a finger in a mug to see if it's still warm.
yeah, exactly.
You're looking for like the campfire with like a How to Kill the Emperor handbook open and circled.
The handbook is still warm. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's on the flags? What's on the flags?
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So that makes sense to me. Okay. So
Okay,
set
cool.
that at 3.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, am I
Cool.
good to go?
Yep. Go for it.
Okay. 2 successes, 1 threat.
Okay, cool. I like that. So Eli and Cora, as you kind of make your sort of quick assessment of the space, it doesn't seem as though anything has been through here in a long time.
Okay.
It is, as I said, difficult to determine if things have been moved around because of a search or because of movement, because there just is stuff kind of strewn everywhere. But you don't find any traces of habitation or of like recent activity in here, which honestly does kind of track with the state of the doors, unless of course the ship was like powered up, doors open, doors closed, etc. But no, this very much feels like an abandoned wing.
Okay.
Based on what you were searching for. In terms of the 1 threat, I'm just gonna hold on to that.
Yay. Sir, I'm satisfied to move on from here.
Valentyne to move in with Kotov then. This is time to find us a fucking terminal and see what we can learn.
Great. So I think maybe that's where we'll play the threat out, which is the lack of power to this wing. So like Kotov basically, like in looking at stuff, he says to you, Valentyne, it's possible that I could jumpstart any one of these terminals. But in thinking about it, Valentyne, there's only so many of these we're going to be able to do before my portable battery here kind of runs dry. So if you want me to jumpstart them, I can. But I'm going to say we probably only get about 3 uses out of this. And if this room isn't connected to the central hub, or if we can't access the central hub, then, well, there it is.
Well, then find us somewhere that's connected to the central hub. There's our new priority. You can confer with Eli about the direction that we move in. If we've only got 3 chances, I don't want to waste any of them, and I really don't want you to waste any of them. So let's try to do a good job, he says as he checks his power sword. Just casually, like it's a very subtle threat, but it's clear.
Both eyes fall out. Just sticks them back in. Says, of course. The bridge would do the job pretty well. Engineering, bridge, either of those should be good.
Are either of those closer to our beacon, if you were to estimate?
And he shrugged. Unfortunately, the beacon is somewhere on this ship. There was no indication from outside as to where.
Sir, the beacon is most likely located on a bridge, if there's anything standard about this ship.
Well then, to the bridge, friends.
All right. So Attikus, I assume everyone groups up on the man himself. Same deal.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Cutter, and then give it a little pop with the power fist.
Great. So these doors are much easier to get through because they're not like vacuum sealed against the elements. You do get the sense that they could be if needed, just in terms of standard kind of like sealing breaches. But you're able to get them open. Immediately there's like a hiss. The air around you almost undulates a bit as it gets pulled through. You can see in this room that there's less atmosphere. Things are floating a little bit. And this is also a 2-story room, but unlike the central atrium, it's large platforms with kind of a central gap, so almost like a donut room, like a rectangular donut room. In the gap, you can see again 2 of these quick elevators, as well as what almost looks like one of those like pneumatic tube systems for passing normally notes, in this case medical equipment, up and down rather quickly. But it's very clearly an ER. So you can see a lot of slabs that are installed. Eli, of course, to specifications. They're bolted in so they don't just like drift around. There is you see a number of kind of like old brownish discolorations on the various slabs. The room is definitely not clean, and certainly not sterile. There are no bodies to be found, but you can certainly see restraint harnesses and all manner of like, unpleasant 40K medical gear, servo arms and things bolted into the walls with saws and such. That said, it is a little bit sparse. There seem to be some bits missing from these. And that's kind of what you see at first glance. Similar to the previous room, though, you don't see or hear any movement in here aside from air escaping out across from you, there are still 2 more of these of these like flippy floppy doors that are closed, that would lead, based on your understanding of the geography of the ship, into the body of the ship. However, to your right, there is a domed door, so kind of like an arched door, with a much more industrial kind of sliding door situation with like the Adeptus Mechanicus face in the center of it. So one of those doors with like the little cutout puzzle piece thing that looks super cool in sci-fi and fantasy. And it is open a crack. And beyond it, you can see air just kind of hissing through it. It's not enough to like drain the atmosphere of the room. It's like a small puncture that's just very slowly leaking atmosphere. Based on your understanding of the geography, this would lead out to landing platform number 2. So if people were being delivered en masse, this is how they would get to the ER.
So that's the one further back in the ship.
Yes. So that's the landing platform that's like mid-ship.
Yep.
Exposed to space.
Okay. So Tom, did we have artificial gravity in the air, or were we just like, we're totally gravityless?
No, you have gravity. This room is just there's less atmosphere in this room from the cracks, so things are just a little floaty because sci-fi.
That does. Sorry. Just because like air
you
pressure
get the physics person here, Tom,
wouldn't have anything to do with gravity.
Well, let me tell you. So we're in the grim darkness of the future where there's only war and skulls can fly around and deliver you information. So what I'm telling you is you have gravity. You can walk around. Things are a little bit floaty because cool sci-fi imagery. Any questions?
No, I just wanted to understand.
I understand. And I'm just telling you, I only think in cool visuals. And unfortunately, I grew up watching Star Wars. So like physics in space is World War II fighters for me, with banking and fire. So if it helps, there is artificial gravity. It's a subsystem that's powered by something somewhere that's low level. So there's gravity. The air is a little fucky. Off you go.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Cool. Valentyne at this point he's expecting to have to go through like ships at 40K could be kilometers long. So this could be like a long fucking walk, which means every room is equally important, which also means every room is not that important until they get to the bridge in terms of that. So he is the Schola Progenium trained former commissar turned inquisitor. His head is on a fucking swivel. He's at the back of the group. He's got his auspex out. He is just watching for any sign of anything hostile coming towards them. Because realistically, they'll solve the mystery of this ship so much easier when they just open up a computer on the bridge. Right now, it's just solving the mystery of is something going to try to fucking kill us in this or the next room. Because he's also aware that you can't clear half a ship behind you. There's no way. Like, we're just constantly in danger. So he's that guy at the back who's just like watching where we're going, trusting everyone else to look forwards while watching the back and just run in the auspex until we get somewhere where we can hack something.
Great. Yeah. So, no, there's nothing in here. Nothing's rushing you. You're not getting the little alien pings. So you're good on that front. Was there an additional piece to that, Ryan, or is it just like?
The auspex gives him additional stuff for perception. So if there's stuff that could be picked up, theoretically, he could learn things from the scene as he's moving. Like, it's not just a motion detector. It just gives him a bonus 2 boost to any time he does perception.
Did you want to examine this room at all, or do you want to move through it? To your point, these ships are rather large. So
Valentyne wants to get to the bridge. He doesn't give a shit about any of these individual rooms.
Eli, you're in charge of the party. Is there anything you'd want to investigate in here?
No. It's like, we can, I think, Eli would, want to move something in front of the secondary door that we're not using so that we can know if anything has moved through it.
Sure. Yep. It's easy to do.
Okay.
You make Cora do it. That's a Cora job.
Yeah. It's like, you girl, my apologies.
She's an interrogator, like treating her like a
Cora.
baby.
I know.
Just like fucking Hereticus.
He has not been
so good.
He has not been around Inquisitors a long time. My apologies, Interrogator Cora.
That's fine.
Take that. He just points to like a, kind of like one of those island weird table.
Oh yeah.
Things.
It's like good for appetizers,
just like,
also for scalpels. Yeah, sure.
Valentyne, as the only person who apparently came prepared for this, just whistles and then tosses her a big roll of like tiny tape so she can just roll a thing of tape over the door and it'll float away or it'll peel off if it's used, so we don't have to try to like weirdly booby trap every door with a table.
Ingenious, sir.
I think ahead. It's what I do.
Attikus is squared up and ready to breach the next set of doors.
Great. So she puts the tape trap on that door and joins you. You breach the next door into the body of the ship, and as this door opens, it opens up into a massive open atrium. So a huge portion of the center of the ship is consumed by this massive sort of 2-story space. The walkway you're on has 2 curved staircases leading down, and you can see that the walkway on the other side has similar features. And below you, improbably, is an overgrown and dead garden, in the center of which is a large, very dry fountain. And you can see all manner of kind of those Victorian style wrought iron benches around, and almost like small hedge maze type things. There's a labyrinth carved into the ground in sort of a large flat circle, and that's sort of the dominant part of this space. Above you is a massive dome that is clearly is glass, so you can sort of see up and through it, but it is very murky and kind of almost sooty from just neglect and lack of care. But this is very clearly meant to be kind of an ornate space of some sort. Looking directly across, you can see doors that lead presumably to ER1 and the missing wing on the far side. To your right, the walkway continues past these curving stairs to a large, to a large central staircase. This seems to be the terminus of this floor. The lower floor, where the sanctuary gardens are, is has a doorway at the north end that leads deeper into the ship. The bridge is to the south, and you can see that there is an ornate set of doors that are clearly the facade behind which the actual functional, like you think about like on a cruise ship or like the Titanic or something, where it's like, oh yeah, everything's really nice if it's facing the like people
customer facing, as it were.
The customer facing stuff is great, and then you get behind it and it's just like metal bulkheads and function. It's just like, no, fuck off, we need to run a ship. So Eli, for you, this is very much like, okay, yeah, cool, you built a thing in front of the thing, but basically the 2-story piece has kind of come to an end for now. So essentially, to your right, you can go deeper into the ship on the bottom floor. To your left, there's an entryway to the bridge, and across from you is the mirrored wing to the one you just came from. And I will say there are, similar to hospitals in real life, there are like ornate panels set into the walls with, arrows pointing to where various things.
So is the bridge like right behind this door?
So to the left, so like looking into the big kind of garden space.
Yeah.
To your left, if you follow that wall, there's like a big ornate set of like wooden double doors beyond which the bridge lies.
Okay.
But presumably there's like a real door somewhere behind. There's probably like a little hallway and then an actual real people door.
So Eli will say, sir, in the interest of time, I suggest we go straight to the bridge, clear it out, and Attikus, Cora, and I can keep watch at the other entrances to this area to make sure no one is coming up behind us.
Agreed. I mean, Valentyne literally has only said, let's go to the bridge. He's just in full combat mode. He's got Kotov, which is weird seeing like a robot man, but he's got him like the Secret Service where there's always that like hand on back of collar keeping them a little bit ducked over. And he is just watching all the angles where anybody could be coming out.
And Eli kind of sidles up to Morgan. And we have microbeads?
I would assume so.
Yeah.
Again, like Billingberg's ship is decked out, so I got to imagine he's got like a drawer full of things.
I just want to get on like a channel with Morgan, and just say, Rhalls, watch Kotov like a hawk.
I will do that. And she will keep her human eyes on Kotov and Valentyne. But since this is a big open room and since the area they have to walk down into is so big, I think she would instantly have like a Toby fly over and around to check out any of the, like, if they're on a walkway, there's space underneath that we can't see anything. So I think she would have him do just a whole pass over before they start walking down anywhere.
Sure. And the space underneath is like, the walls are painted in kind of like a pastoral, like there's those pointed trees that are always in like, old paintings, just like mysterious, like tall pointed trees. Very relaxing. If the paint is somewhat chipped and cracked, and there's like water fountains and that sort of thing. But again, no sign of anything. There's no sign of movement. There's no real trace of anyone down here. It seems relatively empty.
I'm not seeing any movement or signs of life at all underneath.
Excellent. Attikus, shall we? And Eli gestures to the door, to the bridge.
He's on his way.
Great. So you don't need to, again, this isn't really a roll situation. You open the wooden doors, which are fine, and sure enough, behind them, there's like a proper bulkhead door.
I use the cutter on the wooden doors.
Yeah, fuck those wooden doors up. Yeah. So you crack the wooden doors, you burn through the main door, and Valentyne, to your great relief, it opens up into the bridge space. So this is, again, you can think of the bridge on like a cargo ship or like a cruise ship or anything else, where it's kind of like a big wide space with kind of the rounded front viewport that you kind of saw from outside. A series of panels and instruments kind of line that wall. So the southernmost wall kind of out onto space with a variety of swivel chairs and that sort of thing. There is a central kind of console for the captain, as well as places where you would plug in your navigators, that sort of thing. So, the similar pieces to what you would normally be expecting, as well as the two gun wells. So, again, massive cannons. You get the sense the ship isn't heavily armed. Rather, it has very heavy armaments that are really meant to be the main deterrent to buy it time to get out. The bridge itself is also empty, but has certainly enough machinery that, like, Valentyne, you can feel like Kotov is practically vibrating with excitement at looking at all these ports that he can plug into. And he just kind of was like, oh yeah, this'll do just fine. But all of that is somewhat secondary to you as your flashlights light up this small space, because although there is no one here on the bridge, all of you are acutely aware of the many pointed icon of chaos that's been painted in blood across the center console, and the small pile of skulls that rest beneath the words "Blood for the Blood God."
This episode of the Valentyne Heresy features Ryan LaPlante at the Ryan LaPlante on Twitter as Inquisitor Lucius Valentyne, Tyler Hewitt at Tyler_Hewitt on Twitter as Attikus Viz, Laura Hamstra at EL Hamstring on Twitter as Eli Sharp, Del Borovic at Deltastic on Twitter as Morgan Rhalls, and our Game Master Tom McGee at McGeeTD on Twitter. This episode was edited and mixed by Laura Hamstra, and the Valentyne Heresy's artwork was created by Del Borovic at delborovic.com, DELBOROVIC. Our theme song is The Hordes by Megan McDuffie, and our ads use the tracks No Control and Chiefs by Jazzar, JAHZZAR, available at freemusicarchive.org. When it comes to Dum-Dums and Dice, you can visit our website at dumdumdice.com. Our Twitter and Instagram are at dumdumdice, and on Facebook at facebook.com/dumdumdice. We have merchandise available at redbubble.com/people/dumdumdice, and most importantly, you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/dumdumdice. That's DUMBDICE. Ave Imperator, and death to all the heretics.
Dum-Dums and Dice has to give a special thank you to the supreme beings of our Patreon at this time: the Half-Blind Prophet, Christopher Little, Sue One, George Dolby, Richard Cranium, Gavin and Abby McDonald, Logan, Fire Unfriendly, Grandma Likes D&D, Alan, Stabby Stranger, Glitch Trick, Roman Brown, Spot Allen, Flynn1138, Alarain Okapi, OMG It's Big Nick, D&D and Things, Norma Byers, Schrodinger's Pepper, Guy Edwards, Flea Unit, Madre de Gatos, and Jill and Noel LaPlante. If you want your name to be added to this list, you can join our Patreon too at patreon.com/dumdumdice. Thanks to them, and a little bit of thanks to you.